Welcome to North Texas Networkers, a show about connecting people across the DFW Metroplex. As realtors, we get the opportunity to meet and work with a variety of interesting people.
And this is our chance to introduce you to them. Join us as we talk with our community influencers, share their inspiring stories, and reveal how and why they shape our local communities.
I'm your host, Caralee Gurney.
And I'm your co-host, Stacy Reevely.
Thank you for joining us. Hello and welcome to the first episode of North Texas Networkers. We're excited to have you here. I'm Caralee.
And I'm Stacy.
And today I'm excited that we also have a sponsor for the year. His name is Schrank. He is the president of Willow Bend Mortgage. And along with him is Bill Shaddock, who is CEO and owner of Capital Title, along with many other companies, including Willow Bend Mortgage. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Caralee and Stacy.
We are so glad that you guys are here. We've enjoyed working with you guys and our clients that are extremely satisfied working with you. So thanks again for being here. And just one thing, why don't you tell us a little bit more about how the two of you are connected and where it all started?
Well, so as far as Willow Bend Mortgage is concerned, we started the company back in December of 1993. So we just recently celebrated our 25th anniversary. Bill, we knew each other from church. So his uncle was the pastor of our church for, 30 years, something like that.
A long time.
And so at the time, I was pretty young. I was fresh out of college, and I was in the mortgage business. And Bill was, I didn't really know Bill. I knew of Bill because he's obviously a lot older than I am. but
He doesn't take it.
You'd never know it, though.
No, you wouldn't. But my dad knew him, and my dad and I worked together in the mortgage business. And so my dad approached Bill at some point to talk to him about, his brother was a home builder. We talked to him about maybe doing some of the loans on the houses that they would build, and we'd close everything, plus the other loans that we did at his title company. He's got Capital Title now, but back then he was a fee attorney for American Title. He had one branch. And so Bill's a pretty quick decision maker. It probably took 2, maybe 3 discussions, and ultimately he said, well, I've been thinking about starting a mortgage company. Why don't you just come on board? We'll do it together. So that's where it started, December of 1993, 25 years ago. We've been involved in other things besides that, and it's just been a great partnership.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, just a side note, I learned from you after doing business with you for 7 years that you were on the water ski team at Texas Tech.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about that. What was your most
Bill,
interesting
Bill loves that.
day on skis?
And that's why I put it in my bio, because it's really more of a conversation piece than anything
Sure.
else. But he likes to bring that up from time to time. But yeah, I mean, growing up, I grew up in Dallas and pretty much grew up on the water. Friends of mine, we were all at the lakes probably 2, 3, 4 times a week. We just loved to water ski, and it was a bigger deal back then than it is now. But when I got to Tech, I found out I had no idea they had a water ski team. And one of my good friends growing up was one of my roommates at Tech. And
I didn't know they had water out there.
No,
I know.
I'm thinking of the beautiful lakes.
that's part of the problem, because there's not really, as far as there's one lake. Mm-hmm. It's pretty small, it's wide open, and it's very, very windy at times. So it's not conducive to water skiing. But they had the team, we tried out, made the team, and got to do the travel and tournaments and things like that. The thing that I remember most about those tournaments is that because we didn't have a real place to practice, we were not that competitive. But you're there, it's a Southwest Conference back then, so you're competing against UT and A&M and Baylor and all these schools.
Gosh, I went to Baylor. I didn't know they had a water ski team either.
I don't know if they still do or not, but it was really fun back then. But the day before the tournament, we would go to the liquor store and buy a keg of beer. And so at the tournaments, we would set up. You'd have to set up your camp on the side of the water, and we would set up our camp with the keg at the very middle of the thing. And so as people would go out and do their runs and their heats, we would come back and start just drinking beer. And so these other teams are looking at us like, what are y'all doing? You know, this is supposed to be a competition, but we're just there having fun. So as it kind of went, these other teams would do their deals. They would come back, here, have a drink. And so they would sit there and drink beer with us. And so we weren't the most competitive team, but we had the most fun.
Smart.
That's amazing. Well, Bill, you have quite a legacy in Collin County. Why don't you tell us a little about how you and your family are involved in the area?
Well, my brother went to TC. My brother's Peter, and he owns Shaddock Homes, his family. So he actually came to what was then North Dallas. When all of Collin County was encapsulated south of LBJ, and started building homes. He graduated from TCU, came here, got involved with a home building company, and started building houses around Midway, which was south of LBJ. And then there was there was unbelievable news. Pollard Simon, who was a developer, was developing a brand new subdivision in way out across LBJ, which is now known as Prestonwood. And so I guess our family, that was over 50 years ago, back in the 60s, early 60s, he graduated from TCU, and later he is 10 years older than am I, and I ended up going to law school and came to Dallas and started practicing law, and my brother was out there creating quite a commotion with a really great home building company. And in Collin County, his more or less, its genesis is really not Collin County, but more or less, it's just Dallas is getting bigger and growing north, and that's how my family got here.
All right.
So, just curious, since you started out as an attorney, what's probably the most interesting case you had?
Well, I actually did real estate and I did trial-related work, and so it would have to be one of my trials. And I guess specifically my last trial, it was involving a contractor, and I named who was being sued for overcharging or whatever, I guess. And so I named the case Champagne Taste on a Beer Budget. So I claim more or less that these people had a beer budget, but ultimately had champagne taste when it came to picking all the things, and they just didn't. They wanted to get back to their beer budget, but the contractor couldn't do it with their champagne taste, and so we actually won that case, and so it was good.
That's fun.
The jury got the picture.
So you went to Baylor Law School.
I did.
But you went to TCU undergrad.
I went to TCU undergraduate, and I actually went to SMU and earned an MBA in real estate.
So they're playing each other. Who do you go for?
I don't pull against anyone, but I would pull stronger for TCU. But I normally, John Eddie Williams was a classmate, and he typically somehow get involved with his suite at Drayton McLean Stadium, and I looked over there. My son and I were there, my son Andrew, and I looked down and I saw that it was the John Eddie Williams field, and I dressed in a blue shirt, which was indistinguishable for any team. It's just I didn't pull for any team. And I told my son, "You don't come to a man's suite, eat a man's food, hang out with a man's friend, and root against the man's team." I said,
"That's a really good life lesson."
More or less, we're just happy to be there.
That's true.
And I do remember the old Baylor line song. Actually, I recorded it. My dad went to Baylor and Baylor Medical School, and so that was the earliest college memory that I knew, and so they're both in a way my teams.
So I had 30 family members go to Baylor.
Yes.
Can you sing the Baylor line for us, or are you just...
That good old Baylor line, that good old Baylor line.
Very good.
No doubt.
I'm impressed. Very good. Well, Craig, so what is maybe one of your biggest accomplishments that you feel like you've had over the past 25 years in this industry?
You know, I think that's a hard question, number one.
it is.
But I think in our business, we're financing homes. And we see a lot of what people do to earn a living. You know, there's a lot of interesting ways that people, you know, that what they do to earn a living and support their families. We see a lot of people's financial statements. And we hear a lot of stories, and we hear a lot of things about what people really hate about their jobs, that hate about what they do and who they work with or for. And so, you know, I think if I had to look back on it, probably the biggest thing that I'm proud of is that we have a company, Willow Bend Mortgage, that I can go to work every day and like what I do and like who I work with.
That's great.
You know, we've spent years trying to create something where the people enjoy what they do, enjoy who they work with, and have the ability to earn a living to support their families. And so, you know, whatever happens is going to happen, but, you know, at the end of the day, there's no price to be put on quality of life. You know, we talk about it at the office all the time. It's like, would you rather have money or would you rather be happy? And if you can have a little bit of both, a lot of happiness and enough money to support your family, hey, that's a great deal. So I'm proud of that.
Very good. Very nice. I like that.
I will say Craig has helped to build a great mortgage company, great in terms of the quality, but frankly, great in terms of who he is and who he has been able to draw to the company over a period of years. And it's important who you are to work at Willow Bend Mortgage.
Well, I think it speaks volumes that you've been there since the beginning of time. That just is almost unheard
It
of.
feels like
Yeah.
The beginning of the Willow Bend time.
Right.
So, if you had to do something different, choose a different profession, what would it be?
Well, I'm going to start off and say that ultimately what I do for a living is to build relationships and to make deals.
Okay.
I've been blessed. Ross Perot was asked one time, General Motors, after they bought EDS, said Ross Perot is ready, fire, aim. So they told Ross about it, and so he asked him for his response. He said, well, General Motors is more like ready, aim, 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 aim. I'm more like Ross Perot than General Motors. I instinctively like people. I instinctively want to do deals and be in relationships with people, and deals are ultimately an extension of relationships. So my industry really is in the business services area and real estate development, but it could be my skill set lends itself towards doing those particular skills. It just happens to be in those particular areas at this time. Really, any of them.
Very good. What about you?
What was the question again? What would I do?
If you weren't doing what you're doing now,
What
what
else?
other profession would you see yourself in?
You know, I'm kind of the same as Bill. You know, business is about relationships. We just happen to be in real estate. There's a lot of facets of real estate. I think if I didn't do what I do now, I would probably do something in the commercial side of the business. Probably finance, because that's what my background is. But at the end of the day, it's all about relationships, and it's all about helping people and trying to make a difference with the people that you're working for and with. So
if you were looking back over your lifetime at doing what you're doing, what one lesson would you say you learned?
I'll tell you a good lesson we've had a good boom here for about the last 8 years. When you're out of cash, you're out of business. Don't forget it. People that like to make deals and that are optimistic people, I like to think that when you're optimistic, you hopefully see the best in people, but fortunately, unfortunately, you happen to see sometimes the best in every deal, okay? And so you have to be careful to manage your enthusiasm for relationships and deal making with the reality of you have to make money and you have to account for every time period. You just can't go not be able to make. you just need to be very careful. You need to always keep an eye to make sure that you have adequate financial reserves to provide the security, frankly, that your team members and employees expect, and that you need to run a business of substance.
That's good.
Yeah, that saying that Bill had, when you're out of cash, you're out of business, that's become pretty much a mantra of ours as far as meetings and just annually to remember that, you can't get too far over your skis. Willow Bend Mortgage has never been, and I'm sure Capital Title and all the other companies have never been companies that go out and assume debt. If we can't pay for it, we don't do it. And, that probably has affected us as far as how we've grown over the years. We haven't grown super quickly. It's been organic, and, it's been a slower process, but it's allowed us to manage the business in a way that is calculated and more conservative.
Some of the money that was originally made in the first year of Willow Bend Mortgage's existence is still there today.
Wow. That says something. Absolutely. That's amazing. So over the past 25 years, there's been a lot of waves, ups and downs. And, we've had very fortunate in the last several years to have a really good stretch. So what do you see kind of in the future coming up? And, what are you doing to prepare for anything if you see a change?
Well, I was honored to be a guest panelist on DCEO Magazine's real estate forecast for 2019. And I frankly did some research into a number of things, including interest rates. And basically, I keep hearing it from people. There's some degree of concern because we've had a good market for quite some time now. And there's some kind of concern of like, oh, okay, well, it's like a hymn in church. You're thinking, are we to the last stanza yet? Or how long does this thing go?
Right.
So we're kind of in the seventh inning, I think is what I uniformly hear. But the seventh inning has been going on for a number of years. And frankly, Dallas-Fort Worth area specifically is gaining over 100,000 jobs a year. And so it's, as Steve Brown said at a TCU luncheon, recessions don't just happen, they happen for reasons. And as long as we're growing with the 120,000 people of new jobs a year, it's pretty hard to concoct a basis upon which things are not going to do at least pretty good.
Sure.
So I think that average forecast is pretty much the same, is that rates are going to stay under, I can let Craig speak to this, around 5%. Growth in home prices, I call it the 5% rule. I don't think houses are expected to go up by more than 5% or expected to lose more than 5%. Everything is like 5%. And as I said at the forum, within 5%, all these experts are kind of useless. I mean, whether it's 2 or 6, it's all in the rounding. But I will tell you one thing, is if something is, we'll say a home is $500,000 or an investment is worth $500,000. I don't think you can assume today that it's going to be worth $550 next year, or that if you're charging $1,800 a month for rates for an apartment, that you're going to be able to go to $1,850. I think whatever it is today, what it's going to be worth in a year is pretty much exactly what it is today. And that's something that I think people who make investments should come to understand. It's not going down, it's not going up. Whatever it is, it is. And unless something happens, it's probably going to be there for a while.
That's good.
Good information.
Yeah, I agree. The Fed started raising rates last year, and we've had 3 rate hikes, and everybody was, the economy started picking up steam, and so everybody was expecting a few more rate hikes this year, which would typically mean that mortgage rates would go up. But what we've seen is that mortgage rates have actually come down since the end of last year because things are not going as like Alan Greenspan termed it irrational exuberance when he was the chairman of the Federal Reserve. And things were happening like that. It started to heat up, and house prices had gotten pretty inflated a year and a half ago. And so, I don't think really short term this year or probably even midway through next year that rates are going to do much one way or the other. I think what the more important thing for us is that we're getting more back into an equilibrium as far as house prices. You know, values had come up to a point where sellers are just, hey, we're in a seller's market, we can get whatever we want, and we've got backup offers if you don't want this house.
Right.
And so, but we're seeing houses now that are on the market for a long time. In fact, we've got 2 or 3 that we're hearing about that have been on the market for over a year. And so I think what's happened is that finally sellers are becoming realistic as far as what the value of their home actually is. Their buyers are out there. So there's a market for these homes. It's just a matter of getting the sellers to be realistic, come down to the price, and then we're back in equilibrium and we're back to a normal market.
And
So
that's a good thing.
as far as that goes, I think we're going to be in a better situation than we were at least for the last 6 months of last year. But going forward, you know, like Bill said, I mean, we've got lots of people still moving to town and lots of good stuff happening in Dallas and in Texas. So we're fortunate to live here, number one, but I think it's going to be good for the next couple of years.
That's good. So changing subjects a little bit, both of you are involved in charities. Tell us a little bit about some of the charities you're involved in and maybe one story that has affected you most, something that you saw in the charity world, a story that touched you.
Well, I'm involved with a number of different charities. I've been more involved with, frankly, Baylor Law School, TCU, SMU to a certain extent, but I've enjoyed, it is my hope every day that I can make a positive difference in someone's life. I feel like I've been blessed, and as we each, not in an unusual way, but we are all blessed and given certain talents and abilities, and it's sort of our job to find those abilities and talents and use them. But ultimately, if we're really talking about peace and joy, and I won't confuse that with happiness, we're going to need to find greater purpose in our lives than consumption, which I guess is on Pavlov's levels of thing. I guess you got to consume in order to live, but at some point in time, it quickly runs its course, and I think we are each looking for peace and joy in our lives. I am, and so I'm trying to make a positive difference in the lives of other people at this point in time, and use my skills and abilities given to me by my Creator to the best use that they can be. So, giving scholarships to people at TCU and some at Baylor have meant a great deal to me. As far as stories, I grew up in Orange, Texas, and there's a school now called Lamar Orange. Well, it costs $2,500. I'm so proud of that little school. It's Lamar Orange, and it costs $2,500 to attend that school. That's about for half a semester. Well, you know, it sounds egregious to us to sit here and think, oh my gosh, you can't afford $2,500. Well, excuse me, I'm sorry. There's people that don't have $2,500. So it's been fun for me personally to been able to send some deserving young people from my hometown into learning a skill that they will ultimately be able to have earn a living wage. And these aren't people that are looking for a degree in French art history.
Right.
These people want to be a nurse. You know, I mean, they want to be a physical therapist. They want a specific, or a welder even. And I get letters from them, and they say, without this money, I would not be able to go to school. I actually believe them.
Right.
And so in that way, we all have an opportunity, and I'm not unique, to make a difference in people's lives. And I think that ultimately contributes to my goal, which is to find peace and joy in my life.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's good.
Yeah.
What about you, Craig?
Well, we've been involved in a number of things over the years, and I think the most, the one that sticks out to me the most is as far as Willow Bend Mortgage is concerned, we've always done things to try to make a difference with what we do. And so we've been involved with an organization called Heroes for Children, it's a group that provides money to families whose kids have cancer. And so what our money would do would be to pay for rent, or because these moms and dads have to go to the hospital and spend so much time at the hospital with their children that they're not able to go to work. And so our money would pay for rent or pay for their mortgage payment while they're doing these things. And like Bill said, it's not a whole, some of these things are maybe $800 a month for somebody's rent, but it makes such a huge impact. And we were title sponsor to their golf tournament one year, not too long ago, that was their biggest fundraiser. And so we would have these meetings to get ready for this thing, and what they would do is they would bring a family, the mom or the dad or both, or have videos, and these people were there to say thank you, and some of these people had lost their children, and it was just so unbelievably touching. And for us to sit here and be blessed that we've got healthy children, and to see these parents and what they do and how much of a difference that what we did made, it was just unbelievable. It was truly unbelievable.
That's great.
Incredible.
Yeah. Caralee and I both come from a strong nonprofit background as well, so we know the impact that just a little, giving can make. It does go a long way and makes a big difference. So that's amazing.
Well, we appreciate you coming today and sharing your stories with us and telling us a little bit about how you can make a difference in the community, about how you can make a difference in business. And one of the things we like doing is connecting people. That's what we wanted to do with this show. So I hope that people listening today are learning from what your experiences were and how they can build their own businesses and make a difference in their community as well. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And thank you, Craig, for your sponsorship.
You're welcome.
Truly appreciate you, what you've done for our clients, as well as just your partnership with us and your friendship.
Yeah,
Done business with you for a while, and Capital Title as well. So
All
Capital
right.
Title is our
Thanks for
company.
the plug.
So in under 1 minute, is there something we've not asked today that you would like to let us know about before we wrap it up?
We got to compliment you. Obviously, both of you are known for your excellent skills and abilities, and I think being servanthood leadership led to help clients. And so
Thank you for that.
We're happy to be associated with you and build a relationship with you, because we feel a commonality with who you are and what you represent and what you frankly mean to the real estate industry. So we don't want to get out of here with just getting all the stars. We want to give a few stars as long as we're
Very
here.
sweet.
Yeah,
Thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much.
I agree. And we're happy to be sponsoring this.
No doubt.
Yeah.
We're happy to be your guinea pig for the first podcast.
We appreciate that a whole lot.
Hopefully we got some kinks out, but no, I agree. Bill, Caralee, we've worked together for a long time, and I can just honestly say that everybody that you work with, all of your clients, both of you, are just thrilled beyond. They just love how you operate. They love how you treat them, and you do a really good job, and we appreciate the partnership.
Thank
You represent the
Yeah.
best in our industry. We're proud to be associated with you.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
that.
very
That was
much.
very sweet. Very nice.
Well, again, so glad to have you here. For those of you listening, get excited, because next month we're going to have Ron Butangas, and he is a former American Idol contestant and also a local musician, and you will not want to miss his story. So we'll look forward to hearing from him next month.
Yeah, and join us. Be sure and join us. We will be live every third Tuesday from 11 to 11:30. You can find us on our YouTube channel. You can find us on Facebook, our Mariposa group page. So we've got a lot of great guests coming up. So we hope you're going to join us on that.
I'm Caralee,
I'm Stacy, and we are your real estate professionals.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us on North Texas Networkers.
Visit our website, mariposagroupdfw.com. That's MARIPOSA Group DFW.com for more information about the show and other resources. I'm Caralee.
And I'm Stacy.
And we are your real estate professionals.